It's time for, hello, a Jersey Shore recap podcast.
Hello.
Hello. I'm so excited. My name is Angel, but you can call me Cookie on Jersey's.
And I'm G-Wow. Together we're normally Cookie and G-Wow. Today, though, we're Tony and Louie because it's 50 episodes of Jersey Shore. And we're going to celebrate by fist bump push-up chapstick.
Yes, this is the 50th episode of Jersey Shore, which means it's our 50th recap episode. And let me tell you something about me. I'm a quitter. I quit things. And I am so proud that we've made it this far. I think we're going on like three and a half years. We've done 50 episodes. This is the last episode of season 4. So we've completed 4 seasons now. I'm so proud of us.
I know it's a real feat to have come this far. And this is very serendipitous that it's 50 episodes and the season finale of season 4 where they've been in Italy, and we thank you so much for listening along with us this whole time through 50 episodes, through 4 seasons, and through this Italy season specifically. So we dressed up as a little treat. I hope that you can go on YouTube and watch, or our social media, follow us there, and we'll post a little clip because we're Tony and Louie today. Do I got enough chapstick on, Tony?
Oh, wait, I have chapstick. Where'd it go? I have lip balm. Let me put some on in honor. It's Burt Weeze because I don't like chapstick. Okay.
This is perfect. I'm gonna overlay the sound with just like us for a clip. So can we just like fist bump for a second for the clip?
Beat the beat up.
Gonna fist pump till my fucking arm falls off. That's perfect.
So tell us, what is this episode called? Because you're the one who always takes note of that.
Yes, let's get back. And we got over the excitement of 50 episodes, 4 seasons, back into the actual finale because we do still have to recap it. This is season 4, episode 12, and it's called Ciao, Italia. And it came out October 20th, 2011, just to bring you back in time of how long ago it was that these episodes were released.
It was like yesterday, but also a lifetime ago. 2011. That was like a whole nother world back then.
It's been a bit. It's definitely been a bit. So we come back on, first of all, a recap where like, because I think they sometimes like to produce the story a bit with the recaps, and this is very anti-Mike, like the House versus Mike. It's really harping on that nature and the fact that they're going to Jersey, which I said last episode that they had just gotten this announcement that they were going right to season 5 filming in Jersey, and that's being kind of talked about. They had gone out to a club the night before, and we come back now with Mike arriving home to the house by himself after kind of being isolated at the bar due to really his own fault.
Yeah, right. And he's, I don't know, I guess in kind of a weird mood. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's just kind of being loud, and I don't know if he forgot that Nicole was home, but he kind of discovers her, and of course it's Mike, so he can't help but pick on her. So he wakes her up. Or I guess she kind of wakes up on her own, but he's bugging her, and she just won't say a word, won't look in his direction. It's like he's not even there. And I think good for her.
I
Don't
think
engage.
you're onto something with that. Maybe he didn't know she was there because he's kind of I don't think he would have been putting on quite the show he was if he knew she was home. Like he's like weirdly talking to himself and kicking around, and it's strange. And I don't know. I just like whenever I see things like this, I'm just like, is this drugs? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's also probably drinking because he had just come from the club. But yeah, he was
putting on a show
is a good way to put it. He likes to put on a show for the cameras, especially when he's alone.
Yeah, and then everybody else comes home from the club. Mike has gone to sleep, but Ron decides this is the moment that he wants to address all the problems. I'll say this, it does go better than I thought it would, being like post club waking Mike up.
Right.
I think it could have gone better. Like, I think Ron could have explained himself better because the way he phrases it is basically like, you have to apologize to everybody or else you need to leave, which fair, but I think it should have been a more, I think you could have elaborated and been like, the way that you're acting is making everybody uncomfortable, and you're going to need to better yourself and apologize. Like, I think you missed a couple of steps. It doesn't matter because Mike isn't very receptive, but I will say I was screaming when Ron in the confessional was like, "Don't be Angelina." I was like, "Oh my God." Tea.
Hello. I always love an Angelina reference because I forget. Sometimes I get so used to Dina being there that I'm like, oh yeah, she was on this show. I forgot
I
about
know, right?
that.
We have to like hold up our namesake in a way, and our shared podcast name.
Right. Oh, that's right. I forgot she has the same podcast name now. Um, yes, I agree with you that it could have maybe gone a little bit, or Ronnie could have communicated a little bit more clearly, but I was also surprised by how calm it was and how like it didn't escalate at all, which is so unlike both Ronnie and Mike. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad it didn't because the last thing we needed is another fight between those two.
Right. And what I think is so funny is afterwards, Ron goes to Sam and Sam starts talking to him like she's a fucking mob wife. She's like, "Did you get it done? Did you take care of it? Okay, well, if he messes with me, I'll fucking kill him." And I'm just like, what are you like, Big Ange? Like, relax, girl. Oh my God, it was so funny to me.
I loved her in this scene though. It was both of them were like so and it's I didn't recognize them. It didn't feel like Ron and Sam. It was like, who is
Sure.
this couple that are like on the same page?
This is what I remember of them for most of the season.
Yeah.
So this clearly made a big impression. I don't know. Well, the night ends there. There's really no like drama from it, which I think is a good thing. And the next day we get a nice funny moment where it's Paulie, Vinny, and Sam's last pizza shift, which just means that
Mm.
they're very like, oh, I'm gonna miss it. This has been a good experience. And Paulie just like can't help but just like fuck around and mess around, which it makes for fun content, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? I thought it was kind of cute because the boss was like he wasn't trying to stop it. He was like even kind of playing into it a little bit. Like he was having fun
Yeah.
with them. It was very like I'm sure he's kind of glad to have them be gone. Like it was good publicity, but now you
Yeah.
gotta go.
I think
Like
it was bittersweet. Like, I don't think they did as much as they could have. So I feel like it was more just a gimmick even to have them there.
yeah.
So, like, yeah, what do they care, you know?
And I'm sure it was good for the business. Like I'm sure I think at one point I saw Polly autographing the wall and there was others. So I feel like they all maybe did at one point. I'm sure those
Yeah.
autographs are still there. Like it's probably made it a little bit more of a tourist attraction, even if just for a little while. I would go there
Maybe.
if I was in Italy.
Maybe, yeah. So when their shift ends, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this, essentially, especially since we just brought up not recognizing Ron and Sam. So they go back and they're kind of like, who cares that everybody's home? Let's go smush right now. Who cares that it's the middle of the day? Let's just go. And they just bring some sheets into the smush room. Everyone watches them, they smush, and then they come out like, probably less than 10 minutes later. And Polly is like, oh, no wonder Sam's so miserable. That was like 2 minutes. And it's hilarious, but what did you make of this version of Ron and Sam?
I thought it was a funny scene. It was just so different for them. Like I don't know. Like I didn't recognize them, but the scene was very funny. I love that Polly and Mike were just kind of sitting outside waiting, but I guess they didn't wait for very long because it was just a few minutes. But how
It looked like
embarrassing. I don't
right outside though, right? Like it looked like they were quite literally on the other side of the
yeah.
door.
Well, that's the thing about the smush room is that you can't really have like daytime sex without everybody knowing you're having daytime sex. Like it's
Oh,
like
right, because it's like that sliding door too.
yeah, and you have to walk through the living room to get there. So I thought it was funny and awkward. I've said this before, I think, on this podcast that I couldn't live with roommates for that very reason. Like the idea of people knowing that I'm about to go have sex is makes me uncomfortable. So I couldn't do it, but I guess they're also comfortable with each other.
You get past it. You'd absolutely get
Yeah.
past it for sure. So next, Mike calls his sister Melissa, who we've met Melissa before, and he's
Mhm.
kind of like testing out the waters. I feel like, oh, I might not go to Jersey. And I think he's saying this so that people tell him not to quit the show, like this, so that people convince him to
Mm.
stay, I think. And Nicole overhears him, which I think was intentional, but Dina doesn't really buy it. Dina's like, he's just saying it. He's just wants us to tell him, like, she kind of feels how I feel.
Yeah, I think well, we all feel that way. He's trying to get attention. He's trying to get people to beg him to stay. It's kind of similar to what Snooki herself did in the first season. She kind of pulled the same thing.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
but I think she really was gonna leave. I don't think she was
oh,
just
okay.
saying it. I think but then that worked for her, and then I think others have tried to replicate it.
That's what I wonder if like he was trying to follow her lead or like replicate the same. Like it worked for her. I don't know, but I agree with Dina. He was absolutely just looking for attention and probably had no intention of going home.
Right.
But either way, even if he did, she like I wonder if he was trying to gauge Snooki's feelings to see like, oh, will
Mm.
she ask me to stay? Will she say like because her response was just like, okay, bye, go home.
Yeah, yeah, and there's like another point later in the episode where I feel like he does the same thing, and I don't feel like he's gonna get. I don't think at any point when he does this little dance, does he get the response he wants, and I don't know. There's more on this in a bit.
Well, I'll say really quick, I feel like his whole MO this episode, well, really the whole season, I think he was on like producer mode. Like I think in his head he was like,
Mm,
I'm gonna make my storyline, I'm gonna be the main character, I'm gonna be the main villain, and it's gonna go exactly how I expect it to. But the
yeah.
dominoes kept like not falling correctly the whole season, and his narrative like didn't play out at all the way he wanted it to. And so I feel like in this episode, he's kind of panicking because he's like, well, how am I gonna be the through line of the season if I don't have an ending? So I feel like he's trying to give
Mm,
himself an ending in some capacity. So he's like switching gears, trying different things. Because this whole episode is him trying way too hard to get some kind of closure, I guess, for the season, and it not really working
right.
because nobody's interested. Nobody wants to play his game.
Uh, And as a viewer, I'm like over it too. So yeah, all around just like didn't work out for him. It's not like an enticing storyline like he thinks it is. It's
No.
like just annoying drama, really. I don't
But
know.
we'll talk more about that later.
So next, Jenny calls Roger, which is really just, I feel like, a way to edit the fact that she's not going to go out that night because she's not feeling well. But she makes a good point. Like, she's really pushed her body to the limits. I feel like this is a testament to something they've all been going through. And she's like, I don't feel good anymore. Like, I'm at capacity. I think they all could be at this point with the Italy season.
Yeah, and so she decides to stay home and sleep it off, which I think is a good thing. You got to listen to your body. If it's shutting down, take a break. And
Yeah,
oh God, I
smart
can't help but
decision.
God, and they're going straight to Jersey. I don't know how they did it. They must have been exhausted by this point.
It's like some young energy. Like I feel like
I
this is only
guess.
something you could do in your early 20s, and it's part of it has to be that they know they're making money from it. Because yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Wasn't Paulie in his
I don't know.
30s by this point though?
I think like just about, yeah, just about. But I really don't. He's a little ageless in like body,
Yeah,
mind,
yeah.
and soul. I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
So they've heard good things about this club called Full Up. And when they go, I feel like they were expecting it to be like a really lit club scene, and it was more like a cool basement bar. And they were like, "Oh, this kind of like reminds us of a frat basement." And like, while they're not having a bad time, I don't think they're having as good of a time as they want for some of their last nights out. So Nicole and Dina decide to like sneak off and go somewhere else, and they end up back up at Toys, which they've been to this bar before. And Polly and Vinny also are kind of like the girls here aren't great, so we're gonna go there as well. But Sam and Ron stay behind, which again, they're like fine because I think they're just like with each other, so it doesn't matter where they are. So they're like, we don't care. But Mike stays also behind, I guess, because he has found some girls, and it's the whole vibe of like their group is very awkward, I feel like, because they know they like can't leave Mike alone, I think, just because of like
Right.
cameras and producers and stuff. And like I think there is a rule about, I remember Nicole and Dina talking about this on on their meatball pod, how there's a rule where you
Mm.
have to go around in pairs, but that rule would be only accepted for Nicole and Dina if they were having meatball days and like went off
Mm.
alone sometimes. But which makes sense. Like, when else have we ever seen someone alone on camera besides one of the meatballs when they're having that kind
Mhm.
of a moment?
Right. Oh, you're right. Maybe they like couldn't leave. They like they were told somebody has to stay with Mike. I didn't even think of that. You're right.
I think that Ron and Sam took one for the team because they were like, we don't care about how lit the club scene is. We're just like here to get drunk with each other anyway. So we'll like babysit Mike so that there's 3 of us here and it's not weird for the cameras to stay. And then I think it worked out for the cameras that Nicole and Dina happened to be where Paulie and Vinny met up because like there's so many castmates. Like if they went in 3 different directions, how many cameras do they really have following them? Like then you're like, I feel like you're down to like 1 each max.
And I think they only have certain amounts of clubs and restaurants that they make arrangements with in advance, which is why they end up going to the same places a lot.
That's true.
And this Twice place, we don't see for very long. The meatballs actually get there first. They leave first and they get there first. And they're having a cute little meatball moment as usual. They see this girl who is lit as fuck. She's on a level. And you know what? But she's on a fun level. Like she's just dancing and minding her business. But they're kind of picking on her. But they're also self-aware that this is
they
kind
see
of
themselves
what they may be
in her.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like a little annoyed by her, but they're like, we've probably been this exact girl before. So they're not too harsh on her. And there's this moment that I thought was funny. I don't know how it happened, but she's like grinding on Dina's poor clutch. Dina's like, she's fucking my clutch.
I think that Dina put it on the couch, like that little part of I think they were in like a VIP or I don't know. Those clubs have those little like tabley couchy areas where like the bottle service will come to. And that's where they were like dancing. And I think Dina put her clutch down on the couch. And then this girl was dancing, sat on the couch. And I don't know whether she had on underwear, a thong or what, but she was like, ended up like riding the clutch basically. I mean, get it, girl, but she was drunk and the meatballs were like, is this what we look like? Is this what people see when they see us being meatballs? It was very funny.
It was funny, and I saw myself in her too because I'm kind of that vibe too. When I get very drunk, I don't like to fight. I don't like to talk too much. I kind of do isolate myself and I just sit there. I don't sit because she was just like sitting in the chair just kind of dancing by herself, which I would totally do. So I feel like she'd be my friend. I would, I like her vibe.
She was harmless, that's for sure. Like she really wasn't doing anything but like dancing, and that's why they keep her around. When the boys meet them, they're like, look, here's a drunk girl, which I think was a little problematic of them because they're basically like, she's drunk in DTF, which like you don't actually know that. You just know that she's drunk. But like nothing happens. Yeah. It doesn't go anywhere.
I clocked this. I've told you, I try to look out for like stuff that they can't quite edit out, but they try to hide. I clocked when the boys got there and met with the girls and they went into like the VIP area. The whole club was crowded around the VIP area watching and cheering. Like people were cheering. Like it was like an appearance.
Interesting.
I clocked it. They tried to edit it out.
Interesting for Italy specifically because of how they've been received for this far this season. Interesting.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, it kind of gave like how it is in Jersey where fans like line up and wait for them to go everywhere. And it was just
would not be that way if Mike was with them because he can't be chill for 2 seconds in Italy.
Well, that was the perfect the meatballs and then Vinny and Paulie are the 2 like chillest groups in the house. So
they're the best vibes. I don't know about the chillest, but they are the best vibe. That is for sure. And everybody else had headed home, like Ron, Sam, and Mike had headed home together. Jenny's already home, and so they have a nice little time. It looks like really fun. The 4 of them are vibing. And then they start to head home and Paulie does something that I really respect because he finds a girl and for what he perceives, the situation's cool. But then as they're walking home, he starts to notice that she's a little drunker than he realized she was. She's like being a little stumbly and he immediately, without even thinking, questioning or waiting the situation out, he immediately says, you're not sober enough to be walking home with me. Like this situation is not what I thought it was. You're drunker than I realized. And he calls her a cab and sends her home. And I'm just like, thank you for not being an asshole who would have taken advantage. And like, it's not that she was like that drunk to be taking advantage or anything. Like, I don't think that she was like completely incoherent, but she was definitely past the point of like being fully able to make 100% decisions she could stand. Like, I just really stand by his decision to, at the first sign, say, it's time for you to go home, actually. And I really respect it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I don't want to praise somebody too much for doing the right thing, but at the same time, at that
True.
time in 2011, he definitely could have got away with it. Like if they hooked up, I don't think anyone would have said anything back then. So it was really just a moral
True.
choice that he made, not out of obligation, but because he felt it was the right thing to do. So I agree. It was a good moment for him. Paulie seems like a
It's
good
one
guy
I'm
overall.
glad. Yeah, I'm glad they left that in the cut. Like, I think if you're, because people, especially Paulie, I think people really idolized him. He's the one who's the
Mm,
funny one and had like the unique style. And, people went and saw his, like, people really put him on a pedestal. I think, like, people, if you ask, like, who's your favorite, Paulie D is going to be a big answer for the guys. So for him to be that kind of idol, like someone people are looking at and doing
mm.
those kinds of things, that really I like, because I think if it was Mike, he just wouldn't have acted like that in this point in time. And people weren't,
Right.
I don't know, putting him on that pedestal probably for that reason. Like, I don't, I just think Paulie was somebody to like emulate. And I appreciated that it made the cut.
Yeah, I agree. Especially after that joke they
Um,
made in the same episode. This is their way of being like, that was a joke earlier. They're really actually respectful. Remember with the drunk
right,
girl and the meatball? Um,
right, right.
Dina and Nicole are walking
Yes.
home, and Dina decides to take her shoes off, which freaks me out. I don't think you should take. I know it hurts, but it's like on those cobblestone roads, and they're so dirty. Like you never know what you're gonna step on. You got to keep your shoes on, girl.
I almost pulled this as our cookie quote, but there's a better one that I picked for like a season finale. But when they're walking, Nicole like breaks out in this character, like this auntie character, and she goes, "Oh, one day all these trees popped up. Nobody told me about it." And then Dina starts climbing the tree and she's like, "Dina, get off of that tree." And the way that she says it just sent me, it was so funny. Like, they just popped up one day. Nobody told me. Yeah,
I wonder
he's
if
so
she's
cute.
emulating who in her life talks that way. I wonder. I'd love to meet
Just
them.
like old Italian ladies in Jersey, I guess. But you make a good point, because once they get back, Dina's feet are disgusting.
And to go back to the tree thing, the image of Dina like pole dancing on a tiny little baby tree was so funny.
Yeah.
Because I was also like, Dina, get off the tree. It's like a baby. It's not stable enough.
Right. Like, that wasn't like some huge tree trunk. It was like a tiny little like fern
It was like a little
almost.
sapling. It was like a
Yeah.
sapling that they install. Like they come that size.
Right, right. Whoops. So funny.
But it was cute though.
Yep. And the
Um,
night ends there. So should we take a little
break?
break?
Break? Yes, we should take a break. We'll be right
Yeah.
back. Can't get enough of hello?
Never.
Well, check us out on social media. We're on Instagram and TikTok at hello pod.
And if you are listening to us, but you'd rather be watching, you can go to patreon.com/hello. There's also going to be tons of bonus content, including bonus episodes and behind the scenes, like how I got my Snooki pove.
And last but not least, if you're a brand or you just want to give us money, send us an email, a professional email at hellopod@gmail.com.
All right, let's get back to the show already.
Okay. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, we're back. And it's the next day.
It is the next day, and they're gonna say goodbye to their pizza employment place, place of employment.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, and they do this tradition that I've never heard of. So I don't know if this is an Italian tradition or just this specific pizza place's tradition, but the tradition is for each of them to give an article of clothing that they are then going to hang on a clothesline in the store as a little symbol of memories and people who have traveled through.
Yes, which is a cute idea. But I noticed that they weren't just doing this for the gang. Like this was a thing that they were already doing. There were other lines up with other clothes
Right.
already. And I'm wondering, who are those people? Why were they important? Were they
Maybe they
like,
were
are
just
they?
were past workers,
Oh,
or
maybe.
maybe like other big people who've come through. I do think that they've each chosen an article of clothing that does like fit very well to them and their personalities, which is I think
Mhm.
is really cute. And they do get like their own little Guido line. So I think it's cute. But yeah, there's like four other clotheslines. So this is like a thing but that's why I can't tell if this is an Italian thing or just this pizza place.
I don't know, but I like the idea of it though. Um, And I
Yeah,
agree
it's
with you
cute.
that they picked the perfect article of clothing. Although Dina, she picks a pair of lacy panties, like little undies. And I thought
Hot
that was a
pink
wild,
ones.
hot pink lace panties. I thought that was an odd choice for a restaurant. I think Vinny pointed it out. Like nobody wants to look at a pair of panties while they're eating.
Vinny pointed that out, but then he gave boxers. Like, what's the fucking difference, bro?
I guess because boxers do kind of look more just like shorts, whereas the panties are like little lacy things. But I
She
agree,
did
they're
say
both
that
underwear.
they were clean. They just kept saying that they were dirty, but
Oh,
I
really?
believe that they were clean.
And Nicole Snooki brought a bra,
A
which
cheetah print
a
bra.
cheetah print bra, which nobody pointed it out versus the underwear, but I think because it wasn't the first bra, I clocked bras on the other line. So other people have brought bras too. So
Mm.
apparently, so that wasn't that weird, I guess. I wouldn't have thought to bring a bra or underwear in general, but other people did. So go for it.
Oh, it was cute. I mean, it was like a nice little kumbaya ending
Yeah,
pizza
that's
moment. So
cute.
like it was nice. And then it cuts right to the boys having come back from grocery shopping because they're gonna make a dinner, which I couldn't like the editing here gets a little weird because I thought this was gonna be their last night, but then it ends up not being like there's a whole other day and night. But I guess maybe it's just one of the last times they're cooking. I don't know what day of the week it is, but they decide they're gonna make American food because they're starting to get sick of pasta and pizza and Italian food.
Which I understand because sometimes when you're in another country, it's like the food is so good, but you just need that taste of home. Like you just need something that feels familiar. So I get that.
And well, Italy's also a lot of carbs, so they just needed some like
Oh,
meat as well, I think was part of it,
I know it
you
seems so
know.
heavy. All that pasta, I'm like full thinking about it. Pasta, I feel like you can't eat pasta twice in a row. Like for me, I can't. Like 2 days in a row, only like once per week
Mm.
at the most. Maybe
It's a
twice.
heavy meal. There's a lot of heavy meals there for sure. And the dinner goes relatively well, I'd say, especially for some of the like animosity that's going to happen between like them and Mike. It's like, okay. And the girls are cleaning up after dinner. And part of the conversation at dinner and after dinner, Vinny's brought up, hey, there's a lot of Florence that we haven't seen yet.
Mm.
So we should maybe consider doing a sightseeing something. And he goes to book a tour. And everybody looks nervous because he's like, are we more interested in art or history? And everyone's like, the fuck, dude? And I'm nervous for them. It was so funny.
I know, and I've been there too, where you're on a trip and somebody's like, "Okay, this is the agenda for the day," and it's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna spend so many hours doing this shit I don't want to do." So I feel like some of the roommates were dreading it. Like, not every roommate was interested, but they all went. But you could tell some people weren't too pleased, and you see that right away when the tour starts because Mike finds out for the first time that it's a walking tour, and he's not pleased with that. He
Hmm.
doesn't want to walk for hours.
Well, yeah, they say hours of walking. And like, if you're not there, if you're there to be a tourist and see this stuff, like I've done walking tours in Italy and stuff, it could be really sick. But also, if you're these guys, I don't think that that's quite what these guys were looking for. And everybody looks miserable on this walking tour, but Mike especially. But yeah, just so funny.
Well, and Mike, as the tour's going on, this is another one of those like Mike needs attention moments because he keeps separating himself from the group every place they go and putting himself in the corner and like pouting. Like he's just sitting there pouting by himself. And it's just not a good look. He looks like a child.
Yeah, and so we went right into the walking tour and there was a quick moment at the end of the night before they started this whole tour the next day
Mm,
where Mike and Snooky are both having like a cigarette out on the patio porch or whatever at the house. And he kind of does this thing where we like talked about it earlier where he's like, "Oh yeah, I think I'm not going to go to Jersey." And she's kind of like, "I don't believe you." Like she's not buying it, but he's like he's doing it for attention. And he actually admits in the confessional like, oh, I thought Snooki was going to tell me to stay. So he's doing that for attention. He didn't get it. Now they're on this walking tour and he's trying, I think, to get everybody to feel bad for him.
mm.
And he's like saying in his confessional, like, I got to take breaks from everybody and sit by myself for a few minutes here and there because it's just becoming to be too much. And I really think the only reason he's doing it is because he wants everybody to feel bad for him. And it's just like coming across more as like weird than it is like something that's going to gain sympathy.
Well, it's giving me in like 7th grade. Like I used to do that. If my friends weren't like, I don't know, talking about what I wanted. Like I was a brat, so I would do that. I would go
It's
put myself in the corner.
childish.
It is childish. And there's even scenes of him like the whole group kind of leaves and then he waits so he can stay alone. And then once everybody's kind of out of the frame, then he gets up and moves. And there was this one shot of him kind of like shuffling slowly by himself to catch up with the group. And he looked like his whole body movements, his mannerisms, he looked exactly like a child. It was so childish.
Mhm.
And it was weird to see because he's been kind of an asshole this whole season, but this weird tantrumy thing was odd. It was bizarre to see.
It didn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't think it got the reaction he wanted. And at the end of this tour, they kind of wrap up like at the top of this hill that overlooks this nice little, sightseeing kind of view. And they take some nice pictures. They get fed a little snack, I think, and some drinks. And they are having a nice moment. They're kind of reflecting on the Italy trip for a whole. And Mike does decide to stop being weird for a minute. And he's kind of like reminiscing with them as well. And he takes a minute to apologize. I don't think it's the greatest apology in the history of apologies, but like he does it. And the girls kind of like receive it half-heartedly. I think that they're very much like this. Words only go so far, like this isn't enough to just be like, okay, like situation's over. Like it's still not fully kumbaya. Like why do I keep saying that phrase this season? I don't know, whatever. But they're just kind of like, okay, like you can say this all you want, but until you show us, like, it's just words.
Yeah, well, and then Jenny in her confessional is like, it's bullshit. Like he's not.
Yeah,
Nobody's
they
buying
don't buy
it.
it. He's selling, they ain't buying.
But it is one of those things where at this point, and I don't think he realizes it, they are very privy, like they know what he's doing. They've really caught on to his little game because he's kind of run out of tricks. He keeps trying the same things. And
Yeah.
it's just really just a case of people not wanting to play. They're just like, let him say what he's going to say and ignore him because there's just no need. They know exactly where it's going to go if they escalate it. So,
Yep.
I also wanted to say real quick before we take a break that when they were on the walking tour, they were objectifying poor statue of David, which I found to be hilarious.
They
The girls were
absolutely were. That is going to be our cookie quote because I feel like it
Oh, is
really
it?
summed up Italy in a nutshell of like how Guidos in Italy would act.
I thought it was hilarious though. Every single girl commented on how marvelous his butt is.
Mhm.
I won't spoil it because it is the quote later, but it was my favorite moment of the episode because it was just so funny and so them.
Sculpted for sure.
I would love to see. I've heard that all these old statues were at one point painted, that just the paint went away. Now it's just marble. I would have loved to see
Oh.
David painted. Like, what did he look like in all his glory?
Ooh, that would have been cool. That's cool. That's a fun fact.
I bet there's a mock-up. I'm gonna find it online, and then actually between breaks, I'm gonna see if I can find one online, and I'll summarize it for you.
Perfect. Well, let's take a
This
little
is
break.
riveting. Okay. This is riveting. I always go on these little tangents. I can't help myself.
Welcome to Sapphic Survival Guide.
My name is Cheyenne.
I'm Gina.
Class is now in session.
How do you define queer style?
How do you communicate that you don't want to U-Haul at all?
Right, as literally every queer woman I meet hate Geminis.
How do I deal with the most devastating breakup I've ever been through? Sapphic Survival Guide.
We're happy to be queer to answer your questions. Hello.
Hello, we're back. And right before the break, I said I was curious what the statue of David looked like with color. And in my head, when I thought that, I was thinking of like other Greek statues and Roman statues where they're wearing like really intricate clothing and that was colored. It didn't dawn on me until I went to Google that David is naked. So colored, he would just be tan. Like he would
Like a
just have
nude,
skin tone.
yeah.
He's just skin tone. There's no color. It's just skin tone. I don't know why
He's just faded to white.
Yeah, but like these pictures I'm finding, they're just him with a skin tone and then like brown hair. Like that's not. I forgot he was naked, is what I'm saying. I was expecting like colors, and I
Uh,
also, among my quick search, I also discovered that Michelangelo, who created David, was only 26 when he did it.
wow.
When I was 26, I was not
Iconic.
making masterpieces. I was making garbage. So I envy how quickly he became a master. Although I don't make sculptures, but still.
We've probably
Anyways,
now learned more than the Jersey Shore castmates remember from that walking tour about
all they
the
remember is
art
his.
history of Italy.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, anyway, sorry, I digress. Let's get back into
No,
the
of
episode.
course. So now it is actually their last night, and they decide to get ready and go out to 21. And it does go well for a bit. Like it does seem like things are going to go well, but then Mike decides to undo all the progress he's just made. And he like kind of starts to again like pick a fight on somebody for no reason. And Paulie and Vinny are even like, this kid was innocent. Like, what was the reason for you doing like what was the reason? And I think like Mike, but if he had apologized like he just had, and then their night that night had gone really well in the sense that he didn't cause any drama and then he stopped causing drama for the next couple days, I think people would have been a little more receptive. But at that moment, I think he just undid it all because they were like, yeah, see, nothing's changed. Your apology meant nothing.
No, exactly. And I don't even know why he freaked out on that guy for no reason. Did he like
He
bump
just
into
got too
him?
close to him. Yeah. I think it was, I fully think it was an accident if the kid
Yeah.
did touch him.
No, that was an immediate undoing of the apology that was what, like an hour or two before. So yeah,
Yeah.
the old
Yep.
Mike was back in a matter of hours. Let me ask this. So the guy, the reason why he was in that area was because he was offering to buy Polly a shot, to which Polly said, no, no, thank you. Or said, no, grazie. Is that right? Um,
Hmm.
do you think he was doing it just because it's Polly D and it's Jersey Shore? Or do you think the guy was like shooting his shot? The guy who
I
offered to
didn't
buy
even
Polly a drink.
Yeah, I didn't even
I
think that
clocked
he would be shooting a shot. That's so funny. You clocked that?
it's my gay man's eyes. I'm always like, is he gay? Are you straight? Are you gay? Anytime a guy is friendly, I'm like, is he? Okay, no, no, he's not.
I
You know
guess
what I mean?
I wasn't
I'm always
sure
scanning
who
for it.
had asked to buy him a shot. Like in that moment, I almost thought it was Mike. Like I guess I didn't read that as
No,
definitely it was the guy. I didn't. Oh yeah, that kind of went over my head, I think.
the guy asked to buy Polly a shot, and Polly was like, oh no, thank you. He like brushed it off, but I clocked.
Oh,
But I'm saying as a gay man, it's wishful thinking. So I'm always like hoping and assuming everyone's gay, or not assuming, hoping. And so that's a bad habit of like, oh, he was friendly. Do you think? So
I
that's my,
don't know. Maybe you're onto something. Who knows?
but it could have just been because like they're TV stars and maybe he was just like excited to be in the presence of a celebrity.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
But
don't know.
anyways, of
We don't
course I
really get
clocked
much
that.
more of that night, to be honest. Like it kind of, they just
No.
like kind of go back at that point. And there's a couple little prank moments.
Well, there's a moment when they get back and they don't really show the
Oh,
actual doing of this prank. They just show the result, but Dina's mattress is like on top of other furniture. I forget exactly. Was it on top of like a little table instead of the bed frame?
yeah, they
Another.
moved Dina's bed and she falls as she's putting it back, which
So for
that happens every time she's
oh, I was
trying
gonna
to move
say.
the furniture around.
So for a second time within a couple of episodes, again, Dina has furniture on top of her pinned down. She's so cute.
It is funny. And then as a kind of a retaliation of sorts, they decide to take all of the plants around the house and put it on on the kitchen table as a prank. But I was kind of like, is this a prank? Because anybody could put this back. Like it wasn't like they put them all in the doorway of Polly and Vinny's room or like in Polly and Vinny's room or something. I don't know. I guess Dina's in there, so they couldn't do that. But it was funny. I'll give them that.
I love the meatballs with all my heart, but they have never been good at the prank wars. They're always going
True.
to go ahead and lose because what season was it? Was it last season, season 3, that they like their big prank was sticking marshmallows on the wall in
Yeah,
different spots of the house? Was that last season?
I think
They're
so.
just
Yeah, that was in Jersey, I believe.
it's not their strong suit. They're adorable and they're always funny scenes, but they're never going to win the prank wars. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a quick little moment. It's nice to end on some
Yeah.
fun moments. And it seems like the meatballs are the last ones to go to sleep, but then are the first ones awake, waking everyone up, saying they're excited to get home, having mimosas, and everybody I think is ready to get back to Jersey. And again, if Mike had been like, I don't know, not a drama starter the night before, I think he would have continued to be in like good graces because he makes the house breakfast and he's like trying to get on their good side and everybody is kind of in a good mood. But I also feel like they're still not buying what he's selling because last night it was, he still wasn't like living up to what he was promising, you know? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think this breakfast makes up for it either.
No, well, that's his problem is he has these little gestures where he's like, "Everyone forgive me now. I've made you breakfast and giving you a single rose." But
Right,
then he's an asshole again. So nobody buys it. And it was funny
right.
because he makes this kind of little announcement. He's like, "I thought about it and you know what? I am going to go to Jersey." And everyone's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
Nobody gives
no
a fuck.
one, and that's another thing that I think he was expecting when he said that everyone would be like, "Yay!" and it would be this like great cheer moment, and everyone was just like, all right. In fact, I think they were kind of like, ugh, like in their mind, I think they were like, no, like I don't think any of them wanted him to go at this point. I don't think he was in a very good place. And you know what? Back when he was having that conversation with Nicole, I actually thought the way he was talking about it was accurate. Like he wasn't saying like, "Oh, nobody likes me, so I'm not going to go to Jersey." He was saying, "I need some time to work on myself, so I don't think I'm going to go." And I'm like, "No, you do though. You do need that time." And I mean, not to jump ahead, but like I if I remember everything correctly, he's going to continue to spin out in season 5 and then he's going to get sober between season 5 and season 6. And the version of Mike that we're going to get in season 5 is not going to be fun, but the version of him in season 6 does start to make some of the amends that he's like this is all of this he's going to be apologizing for it in season 6 and it's the end of season 4. Like that's how long these things are going to last and how much chaos he really causes. And I don't know what would have happened if he had decided not to go to Jersey and maybe gotten clean sooner. I think that some of the amends would have been like an easier fix. Like I don't know, he's going to dig his hole deeper, I guess is what I'm saying.
And I think part of that is by design.
Mm,
I hate to be kind of cynical, but I can't help but feel like the producers planned it that way a little bit or hoped it would go that way in that like if they wanted to do two like if it was okay, they wanted to do two seasons back to back because maybe it was a budget or time thing or something, they could have given them like a week off, a couple days off
right.
to go straight from one trip to the next with no break in between at all. Felt like it was on purpose to keep all of them on edge, all of them.
Mm.
It's like now you get to start a season where seasons usually end. Usually by the end, they're all at each other's throats. Now you get to start there. There's no refresher for them to be in a good mood. So I wonder if they were like, we're going to have the best season of reality TV yet. You know what I mean? Like they were waiting for that drama.
I don't, I think it was kind of in some ways a mistake because I feel like you aren't creating show longevity by like pumping
Right.
out a bunch of seasons out of them really quickly. They do handle this pretty optimistically. I will give them credit because on the Meatball Pod, they said that when they got the news they're going straight to Jersey, that they all just like started freaking out and crying and like no one really received it well. But we don't see that on camera. Instead, they're like, finishing packing and talking about how they can't wait to go tanning and they can't wait to be back at Karma. And they're talking about how great of a time they had in Italy, but they just can't wait to get back. And so, as the viewer, we're very much like they had a great time in Italy and can't wait to get back to Jersey. And we're going to go along for the
Yeah.
ride. It doesn't seem as severe as it really is when you think about the timeline of their filming and the fact that they didn't really get asked if they wanted to go straight to Jersey. They were just told, hey, I know you just filmed for 6 fucking weeks, but you're going to film for 5 more. Let's go. Like, that's very overwhelming. They handle it pretty well, I'd say. You can't
My
tell.
guess, my guess is that they must have sweetened it by upping all of their pay. Like they must have been like, you got to sign this contract
They
right
better
now,
have.
but you're going to make X amount more money. Like they must have sweetened it in that way to keep their spirits up. Because I feel like if they had been like, yeah, we're doing the season right now. Also, you're getting pretty much the same pay and you're not getting any more advantages. Like I feel like there would have been a revolt. So there must have been some kind of
Mhm.
incentive to get them to do it. Or maybe better conditions. Maybe they were like allowed to have their phone. I'm totally speculating, but I feel like I wonder if something
Interesting.
sweetened the deal a little bit.
Jenny was recently on one of those episodes of like, I don't know if it was, I don't know, one of those, I don't want to say the name because I'll get it wrong, but it was one of those wing eating things where you can either answer a question or eat a really
Mhm.
hot like chicken wing. And one of the questions that she wouldn't answer was how much do you make per episode? And she said of the original Jersey Shore or now. And it seemed like she was willing to answer how much they made on the original Jersey Shore, but she didn't want to answer how much they made now. And so then she didn't answer and she ate it. And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if they're making fucking bank on these vacation episodes.
I wonder because the ratings would have been higher back then. Because now I think they get at the time they were like mainstream, everybody was interested. Now I think it's more legacy audience. It's people that were fans of the original that are just loyal. So it's like,
Yeah.
are they it's a weird thing because I'm like, they must demand more money now because they're older, they have families, they have other businesses. So they must demand more money, but at the same time, like, I don't think they're making quite as much like ratings. So I wonder, yeah, I'm curious as to what the pay is. I think there are
Yeah, I
some
don't know.
estimates about the original show though. I think in the last season, Nicole Snooki was the highest paid and she was making like 100 something thousand per episode at the end. So she made like a good couple million just out the last few seasons.
Oh yeah, good for them. Good.
Yeah, I'd
As they
hope they'd
should.
get paid. They were making
Yeah.
MTV a shitload of money.
As they should. I mean, Italy as an overall season, I think was a lot of chaos and was a lot on their psyches. And so I hope they got paid well for it. And I'm so happy we got to recap it. What a crazy, just like I'd say, it doesn't even feel like an ending because we know they're going straight to
Yeah.
Jersey, but like this is the end of season 4. Like we're gonna wrap here. We'll hopefully not have like too big of a break in between seasons. I know we still have the reunion to cap, but like this is the end, and it did feel a little rushed of an ending, although we did get like some closure with like the pizza place and whatever. But going straight to Jersey kind of leaves this like as like a how we say like season 2 is kind of like part 1 to season 3. I feel like this is part 1 to season 5. Like 4 and 5, I
Even
feel
more
like,
so.
they can kind of loop in together. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Even more so because 2 and 3 had a very, to my understanding, 2 and 3 had a small break between them, but at least it was a break. This is no break. And I feel like it almost is more like, because you said it feels a bit not quite like an ending. It almost feels like, you know how modern shows for some reason will take mid-season breaks a lot, where like they do half the
Yeah.
episodes and then they're gone for like a couple months and then they come back, but it's still technically the same season. I think Family Reunion does
Yes.
that.
Yeah, they do.
The new show. So this
They
is
do.
almost feels like that. The only thing that makes it feel distinct is the backdrop of Italy versus Jersey, but same
Yeah.
drama, same tension.
Same
So I'm
chronological timeline, like
yeah.
continuous timeline. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
We'll get there when we get there.
So we can wrap our Italy season by doing our final cookie quote, which is talking about the statue of David in very objectifying terms. So would you like to be Snooki or Dina for our final cookie quote of season 4?
I'm gonna give this one to you if you'll take Nicole because I feel like you'll do this very fun quote justice better than I will.
All right. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, look at that butt.
I think the statue of David's pretty sexy. I would do it.
If I could change the statue of David, he would legit look like a Guido. He could have a spray tan, and also his wiener just doesn't cut it, but probably because he's soft. And see.
And scene. Poor David.
Iconic. I mean, he is soft. Like, give the guy a break. And there could be some wear and tear over the years. You don't know.
I read somewhere that having a big penis is a very, very modern like beauty standard that up until very recently, like a small penis was considered more attractive because it was more like it wouldn't get in the way and you could do like man stuff like fight and go to war and it wouldn't or do sports and it wouldn't like be in the way. That was before compression underwear though. You understand? Now we have compression underwear so you can do all that stuff.
Oh, you can slang that thing around. Yeah. Crazy.
Anyways, What a fun way
What
to
an
end the
amazing note
season.
to end on. I
Actually,
love
sorry.
that. No, live for it. Love it. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. Again, please go appreciate our looks. We put a lot of thought, effort behind Louie and Tony. And, make sure you're following us. We are going to come back next week for the reunion. And we got 2 more seasons to go of the OG season. So, thank you for doing this with us as always.
Yeah, it's been a great season. And for the second to last time, because there's a reunion episode, for the second to last time, this is goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello.
Goodbye.
If you want more of the podcast, you can follow us on any social media at Hello Pod.
We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/hello. We've got a video feed there so you can see our beautiful faces while we recap Jersey Shore. And we've also got a little bit of behind the scenes bonus content for you.
And you can find me anywhere online at The Lead Regina, including my website, theleadregina.com.
And you can find me online on TikTok and Instagram at angel.iconic.music.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.